have carryovers. So kind of like the carry is almost like a leapfrog thing. The carryovers are the first things that get spent next year or this year for last year. And then hopefully at the end of this year, we'll have carryover again. So again, a budget usually reflects what we are allowing to spend, not what we expect to spend. So it's the authority to spend a certain amount. Additionally, we saved money on legal fees. Legal fees were actually about $104,000 less than we anticipated. And the election costs were able to be paid out by the premium that we got in the funds from the bonds. So that paid for our election fees. So that was $48,000 we didn't have to pay right there. And classification study, which we will be doing this year instead. And then there's this, what comes out of here goes into here. It's just an accounting function, but it affects these two. Capital outlay, we had 8 copiers that the school sites decided to purchase, as well as a district office. There was a special deal, and we decided to take advantage of it. We saved a considerable amount of funds doing it now instead of waiting, and a decrease in indirect cost rates. So then comes a contribution, and that was on that front page as well. So I said that we have a decreased contribution to restricted programs, and mostly, as you can see, that is special ed. And the reason for the decrease in the contribution, I can get to it. I don't keep up with these pages and turning them. So one of the big things is that we ended up, the SELPA, we get money from the SELPA and gets distributed down to all the different school districts, and we got $205,000 more than what they told us they were going to give us. So when they closed everything out, it was an additional $205,000. So that is great for us. Additionally, as usual, our costs for county programs were less than they told us they would be. That's also a good thing. I'd rather have it less than more. And our sub-agreements with different, like the non-public schools, non-public agencies, you approve these agreements and contracts all the time, and they're often a not-to-exceed limit, and they came in below as well. So those are like the big items, the big-ticket items. And then there's a lot of little things that come through, some supplies and legal expenses and legal settlement as well that came in less. And then transportation also came in a little bit less as well, and that's charged to us from the county. So then those were the expenditures and how the revenues and expenditures and contributions affected the things money that came in and the money that went out. And now what I'm going to show you is those fund balances. What are those made up of? So there is the locally restricted fund balances. So in that pie back here, you already know what the unappropriated amount is. You already know what the 5% is. So what I'm going to show you now is this other designations and the restricted fund balance. Oops, sorry. Other designation. Okay, so locally designated. The school site donations of $98,000. Remember I said there was a carryovers where people didn't all spend it? Well, a lot of funds continue to come in. You thank everybody for donations all the time. And so some of those funds are still here, and they'll be spent next year. As well as Silicon Valley Math Grant, Mentor Program, Administrative Training, and that SIP program. Earlier I said the supplies and the services, that large carryover, it's also coming from that. So these end up being about $413,000 worth of the carryovers that we've got. We also have the math program and the instructional materials for textbooks. These two amounts, although these amounts are not, they were not in the budget to spend last year, but they do make up part of the fund balance. These are the reserves that we've put aside so we can continue on the programs in the future years, save up the money for the textbooks, and also for the math program that we're putting out for the next 2 years as well. So this one will drop this year by $200,000, and this one we'll either spend or we'll save, or to grow or not. We'll see. So that's that 1.5 million that has other designations. The restricted fund balance is these are our categorical programs that are actually restricted, not many, but we've got the instructional materials from lottery instructional materials, different ones, so we have almost 400,000 there, and our EIA funds, 300 and almost 360 there. Ongoing routine maintenance and repair, we have 180,000, and then we've got this small grant here, which is 24,000. So that makes up that restricted fund balance that we saw. Now this is an interest, okay, and there's more of the restricted fund balance here. This is, no, I take that back. This is because it's a grant, these are the grants. These grants, revenues don't get recognized until you spend the money. So when you look at the fund balance, this money is not included in it. We have this money, we can spend this money, but the way a grant works is you get the money in, and it's basically a payable. We have to set it up as a payable. We don't recognize the revenue until we spend it. When we spend it, for dollar, when there's an expenditure, there's a revenue. And so they'll be even. So this amount is extra money that we have that's not technically in our fund balance. We're not allowed to do it any other way. We have to do it this way. So the federal grants are all the title programs, and you can see Title I is a big one that we use a lot of, and just the different Title Is through Title III, No Child Left Behind programs. And in the state grants, we have just the CHOOP, we call it CHOOP, and the Medi-Cal, special ed, local staff development, and then child development. So facility, that's $100, Elias. And so all these combined are another $560,000 of funds that we have available to us. That's it. Any questions?
Is that the right way to smell tobacco?
Oh.
We were just talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't have any questions right now.
Nor I. So
I'm
did it
just
sound
grateful
like
that you're
there's a
always
lot
there.
of money here and there everywhere that's not being spent?
Thanks.
And every one of these programs has to be managed separately. It has to be accounted for separately, it has to be managed separately.
Well, I
and
understand
Sandy
that part of
knows
it, but
that.
I'm just saying, do we anticipate money is going to be in these categories that are not going to be spent?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Do we anticipate there'll be monies not spent in many of these?
Oh,
Categories?
every year there are funds that get carried over from one year to the next. Sometimes there's adjustments mid-year and it's not in the plan. It's very common, and then what happens is, like I said, it's kind of a leapfrog thing. You spend the old dollars first, then you get the new dollars, and some of the new dollars go into the following year, and so it just gets delayed.
We might be able to look at that, the budget, and get a little closer to find out what we can use in some of those categories to uplift what we're trying to do in our district.
Certainly.
Okay, because I hate to just see the money just keep going over and over and over and over.
Oh, it doesn't grow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Whatever comes in one year, it gets spent the next year, and and it will go down and go up depending on the plans. Like, for instance, textbooks. What we would get in one year for textbooks doesn't really do much of anything. You've got to save it in order to be able to have enough to purchase the textbooks that are necessary.
But an evaluation of the last, say, 4 or 5 years will give you an idea of when do we have extra money that isn't going to be spent, that we could put it into working on a program that needs a little uplift. That's all.
I think one of the points that Ms. Kessler made earlier and I can make again now, is that when we budget, and this is just conservative budget practices, we budget our revenues lower than expected and our expenses higher, so that there are no surprises at the end of the year. And so then we can say, oh, we have an additional X amount, versus we have to come up with an additional X amount.
Right.
And we have had that experience before, particularly with the county special ed program, where instead of telling us, oh, we told you it was going to be this much, and now you don't have to pay us that much. In the past, probably 5 years ago, I think, it was the opposite, where we had to come up with an additional $300,000 or $400,000. So I think it's just part of what we try to do when, and school sites do when we set up budgets, is to budget conservatively. And as Ms. Kessler said, these budget amounts are authorizations to spend up to a certain amount, not the necessity to spend that amount. So that's where we see some of these surpluses. But again, especially with grants, you get the grant in March, but you don't spend it until July. So those things carry over.
All right. I have one small question, and it's about the revolving cash, 5,000. Can you talk just a little bit more about that?
Oh, okay. The school sites, we have some cash on hand at the district office, and the school sites all have some cash on hand so that they can, a few $100s,
All right.
that they maintain so that they can reimburse small amounts, and then they have to give an accounting of it, and then at the end of the school year, they give it back to us, and we reissue it at the beginning of the year again.
All right. Got you. Thanks.
But it's also district office, it's not just schools. Everybody has
Yes.
that.
Every department, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's every department that has it.
Yeah, because I thought it sounded like it might be petty cash, but I didn't know.
It is, it is.
When you
Yeah.
add it all up,
Everyone.
when you
Yeah.
add it
It
up.
Everyone's
revolves.
petty cash together.
They don't get more of it until they submit the receipts
All
with a
right.
breakdown of how the expenditures should be recorded, and then we replenish them, so,
Oh, great.
yeah.
Questions?
No questions for me, thank you.
Questions? In which case, I would like to make a motion that we approve the unaudited actuals for fiscal year 2012-2013.
And I would like to second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we have what?
Number 5. Can you find it?
Yeah, I got it. Jefferson Elementary School District Governing Board's response to 2012-13 grand jury's findings regarding capital appreciation bonds, ticking time bombs. This sounds horrible.
I read
Yeah.
that.
So, yeah, I think it was in August when the grand jury submitted its report made it public. And you'll see in our response that we address this. The reason we have to respond is because we were named in that report, but we were named incorrectly. So we did specify that we were named incorrectly, and then we also answered all the questions that we needed to answer. However, had they done their homework correctly, we would not even have to respond.
That's right.
So basically, our response is, we agree to a certain extent, and we will follow all the laws, and we'll follow the guidance of the county as they determine what next steps they want school districts to take when they issue these, what are called capital appreciation bonds, which we do not have, and we haven't issued.
But since we have such great teachers, can't we send some over there to teach them how to do their homework?
Well, on a serious note, since you said it was, in the media, I mean, we should be asking them to correct their statement, or?
We are, and I know that the County Office of Education is taking that role
All right.
to request. As you know, the grand jury works and writes, and then they disband. And so
Right.
that grand jury is no longer in existence. So then the only way to do that again would be to issue that charge to the current grand jury.
All right.
So for
Yeah.
them to rewrite, but they probably have other things they want to work on, so.
Sure.
So our response is part of the legal record, and our response specifies that we were incorrectly named, and also how we want to pursue this.
All right.
But we can put something like that in the media, couldn't we?
Do our own press release.
Our press release, and just say we're, you know, because it's unfortunate, sometimes you hear, oh, there's a grand jury thing, and then it's on, headlines or the front page, and then when they go to retract it, it's on the back page on the.
Yeah, of course. So I think
Damage
what
is
it is, when you do go to the grand jury website, you will see their report, and you will see all the responses. And so our response will be on there,
On there.
right next to it.
Okay. All right.
Ready to act?
Yep. Okay, I will make a motion that we approve the JESD response to the 2012-2013 grand jury's findings regarding capital appreciation
I'll
bonds.
second the motion.
But can we change the ticking time bomb to something else, like?
That was their
That's
time.
that's the
That's their
name of their
title.
report.
Yeah.
That's what they call
No,
it.
but how about 10% a teapot?
They may have chosen that title. If you read their titles, they get pretty creative. So that was their trial. That was their selection.
Yeah. I don't
Well,
know.
it's just good news that we're okay. That's the main thing.
So did we have a second?
Yes.
I
you did.
second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Certificated personnel, we have a resignation, 2013, 2014.
One of our teachers, Allison Handy, recently resigned, and she's been at Thomas R. Policeta School. We do recommend acceptance of her resignation and preparing a letter of commendation for her years of service. She was employed in the district since August 1997.
All right, thanks, Ms. Handy, for your work, and do we have a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation from Mrs. Handy, and that we have a resolution prepared for her years of service in the district. Is that all we
Second.
need?
All right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Board policies, administrative regulations.
So at the last meeting, the board policies came to you for a first reading. There were some questions and some suggested revisions. I think we've taken those into account, and they should be ready for a second reading and acceptance tonight.
Well, I looked them over, and they look fine to me.
Yeah. Thank you for updating
Yes.
some of that.
Yep.
All right.
I am
I'll make a-
content.
Are you going to do
I
it?
said I'm content.
Oh, you're content. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the board policy administrative regulations for July 2012 board policy revisions for a second reading.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Comments from any board member?
And I like the way we're doing the board policies. That's working out for us, isn't it? So we're actually caught up?
Well, we're 1 year behind, so
Oh,
we
no.
used to be 2 years behind.
Well,
That's progress.
We used to be 2 years
Progress, okay.
behind. Now we're just 1 year behind. There should be another one coming your way in a couple weeks.
uh-oh.
We hope.
I have no further comments.
They keep making changes all the time, and we'll keep having to do it.
Ms. Brizuela, do you have any?
No,
Comments?
just say I'm very happy that we made some good decisions tonight,
Yes.
and now smiley faces.
All right. Yeah, so it was great seeing everyone tonight, and also our first responders, the firefighters from North County Fire, and thanks everyone for coming out. And now, there are no persons wishing to address the board, and we will convene to close session 9:06 in honor
Oh, yeah.
Raul Tilley. He was a Pasadena high school history teacher who believed collective bargaining offered the path to dignity and respect for public school employees before laws existed allowing it, and served as president of the California Federation of Teachers in successful pursuit of that goal. All right.
Recess. Yeah.
Thank you.